Hey guys, Andy here. So I've been into cycling for 2 years now, almost exactly. It was 10th of March 2019 that I got the bike out of the garage, and it's the 8th of March today, so almost exactly 2 years. And it's mainly been outdoors. That's been the sort of reason I do it. The fun is out in the sun when there is sun, going places, exploring. And I never really understood or enjoyed the indoor element. I did get a trainer, but it was a cheap one. It cost like £270. Zwift was kind of really the only thing I knew about, so I subscribed to that, and you cycle in a virtual world. And I did a few group rides and a few races, but I was Cat D, the lowest category, the slowest of the slow, and I was always at the back, and I didn't really see. It was a bit fun, I suppose, riding around virtual worlds and being in races and things, but I didn't entirely understand it, I suppose. This year, though, I upgraded my indoor kit. I got the Wahoo Kickr, I got the Climb, I got the Fan. I've done videos on those you can have a look at. Well, not the Fan, actually, but the Climb and the Kickr. And I've also sort of been introduced to workouts and training plans. And I've seen the benefit of the workouts and training plans in my cycling performance. And it's really kind of opened my eyes. So therefore, I was sort of looking at, okay, so what are my options? And with the Kickr, I got 2 months of Sufferfest. So I thought, let's give that a go. And that's what I'm taking a look at today. So before we move on to Sufferfest, actually, let's start off with what are training plans, what are workouts, and why would you use them? Some people will say time in the saddle is all that counts, just time in the saddle. The more you ride, the better, the quicker, the healthier, the faster. And I think there's an element of that, but at the same time, I think there is varying qualities of times in the saddle, or time in the saddle, sorry. And I think training plans and workout give you that best quality. So let's start with a training plan. Really is just workout structured in a certain way to give you the benefit. So the workout itself is a structured session where you will have certain resistances or power targets to hit for certain lengths of time, optionally with a certain cadence of the pedals, and sometimes even in a certain position. So one of the worst ones I've had is they'll say, right, do 300 watts at 50 cadence out of your saddle. So you go really slow with a really high resistance and you're standing up on the bike. It's horrible, but you really feel it in the quads. And I don't know the physiology of exactly what it's doing, but I'm sure that's building a certain thing in my quad. I can feel it. The quads will burn. And then you might have, right, you've got to do 100 repetitions at 200 watts for a minute, go, and you're spinning away like mad. But they're all structured in a certain way to benefit your legs, your lungs, you as a cyclist in a different way. And they're based on your FTP, functional threshold of power, which is all about really how much power you can maintain for an hour. Anything above that and you're going to struggle, and your lactic acid is going to build up, your energy is going to come down. Anything below that and you can kind of go on forever. But this is sort of what you can put out for an hour. And I suppose this is where we come into the Sufferfest, really. What is the Sufferfest? What makes it different? So it's a piece of training software that is supposed to make you faster. That is, I think, is kind of one of its taglines. It's something about making you faster. So while Zwift uses a virtual world for you to cycle through, your avatar cycles around different places with different people, you can do training plans. Sufferfest uses kind of live video and films as the entertainment while you're training. So some training sessions I've done, the sort of cadence and power that you're putting out is to match a certain video clip that you're watching on the screen at the time. So you might be in a group and someone makes a break and it says, right, you've got to increase your cadence to 100, increase your power to 400 watts. And as you do that, the video action shows people chasing down this person making an attack, for example. Then it might show, well, now you've just hit a hill, so you've got to lower your cadence to 60 and increase the watts to 400 or whatever, and you're effectively cycling up this hill. Other training plans will, so generally the sort of slower pace. So I did I did one the other day that was an hour and 20, hour and 10, called Thereabouts 2. And it was just kind of, I wouldn't call it a recovery ride, but it was never much more than 200 or so watts. For me, that's about 60%, 70% of my FTP. And it basically had a kind of almost a documentary film about these guys cycling across the Rockies or something like that. I forget exactly now. A group of 4 of them. And you just like watching this documentary while you're doing the training plan, and it's quite interesting. There are others. So for example, GCN have done some Sufferfest videos where it's more like a spin class, and you're watching video of the 2 guys. Well, there might be 2, 3, 4, 5 more of them, but I suppose one guy's one that's mic'd up, kind of talking you through, right now, in a minute's time, we're going to go to 90 reps per minute and about 80% of your FTP. So you should be feeling nice and loose. It's like a spin class, basically. You're watching that go on all the time. You've got your sort of stats and things and the metrics along the bottom of the screen. Other workouts will have no video at all. That's fine. They just say, you're just going to go through a video, and it will give you textual. All of them have textual prompts at time to time saying, this is what's coming up, this is what the plan today is, this is in 30 seconds, are you ready? And then you should be feeling this, you should be feeling that. So you will have the metrics, you'll have the prompts, but then it's just a black screen. So in that case, you're best off normally, you can, you click a button and you will remove the blackness. So you will just have the metric, the bars, the graphs and things, and the measures. But you can watch Netflix, you can watch, so I would watch Plex quite a lot of the time. You can watch YouTube all along. You can move the overlay to different parts of the screen should you wish to get it out of the way, or to wherever the best place is for you to watch. So I quite like that. You can just do your own thing, watch your own thing, but you've got this overlay showing you what's going on in the training plan, and you can still have the words and prompts coming over the top of whatever you're watching while you're doing it. That's an option. So then I suppose we move on to the big difference for Sufferfest to, I think pretty much any other training plan. And that comes down to the 4DP, which is 4-dimensional power. So I mentioned FTP, that's your usual measure. Most cyclists will refer to the FTP, that is kind of globally accepted as a measure of how fit or how good a cyclist you are. And what the guys at Sufferfest suggest is that you can't have one measure to cover all types of cyclists, basically. And I kind of get it. It might make more sense if you compare it to running. If you sort of had just one measure, how far you can run in an hour, for example, and that was the only measure of how good a runner you are. So that's great for Mo Farah, because he can probably run Kipton or whatever. They can run for 8, get loads done in an hour. And then you try and measure Usain Bolt with that same measure. It doesn't make sense, right? He probably can't even run for an hour. That's not his thing. He's a sprinter. He's all about the burst power. So the 4DP is 4 different metrics. One of them being FTP, but you've got 3 kind of more sort of burst power related underneath that. So we've got neuromuscular, which is all about how much you can put out in 5 seconds. You've got anaerobic, which is how much you can put out in a minute. You've got maximal aerobic, which is how much you can put out in 5 minutes. And then we get the FTP, which is how much you can put out in 20 minutes. And they can deduct all this from one test. You do one test, it's an hour-long test, and you start off doing a couple of sprints, then you do a 5-minute sort of as much as you can, then you get a bit of a rest. Then you do the 20 minutes as much and hard as you can, and then you get another bit of a rest, and then you do 1 minute as long as you can. And from that, they deduct wattage powers for each of your 4 dimensions. From that, they can suggest what type of cyclist you are. So there's 6 different types. I haven't got them here. Maybe I've got a graphic I can throw up on the screen which shows the 6 different types. I was decided to be an attacker because my recovery was very good to be able to kick out that 1 minute. So I guess it's all about the ratio of these different numbers. So there's probably a sort of a path that they should all follow for the amount of power you can do for those different times. And if one of them steps out higher than the others, that's kind of your strength, I suppose. And for me, I think it was my 1 minute, which basically said, because that comes at the very end of the test, and the fact that I did better on that than I was supposed to, means that my body's good at recovering and restocking the energy in my legs kind of thing to be able to kick out the power for a minute, which honestly I've always thought was correct, because I've always been, no matter what distance I run or cycle, I can always sprint finish. I can always summon a bit of power from somewhere. So it kind of made sense. But it was very interesting. It was a horrible test. I did do a whole video on the 4DP. It's a good half an hour long, but it explains a bit more about the 4DP and how it works, and you can just see how much I suffered doing it. So I'll try and remember to throw a link to that video up in the corner for you to go and watch should you wish. So where did I get to? We do the 4DP test. It gives you, and then Sufferfest based all of its workouts on those results. So after the end of the test, for example, it will tell you, right, these are your strengths. These are the workouts you do really well at, but these are the 4 you really need to work on. So my weakness was my maximal aerobic, my MAP, which is the 5-minute power, which surprised me because I thought I'm quite good at some segments at 5 minutes uphill. I've got some pretty good times compared to other people, but they said that's my weakness. So great, it gives me something to focus on my training, which I didn't really have before. I was just doing some random training plans almost. So now I've been able to pick out in Sufferfest. You can go into the software and say, right, I just want MAP training plans. And it will list them all. You can download them in advance if they've got video. You can sort them by time. In fact, let's head over to the software and have a look at what we can do in there, I suppose. So, got it open here on my desktop. Actually, I'm not sure what I can do. I don't think it's that personal details. Okay, it's quite personal, I suppose. My body weight, oh, that's actually lower now, so can I just change that? Yeah, I can. Fantastic. So if we go into workout settings, you can see here what I am now set on over here. So my last test, look, the results here. And this is what I think I'm doing now. I did a race a couple of days ago and managed to kick out 301 watts for 20 minutes. And one thing you can do is you take your best 20 minutes, divide it by 0.95. So your best 20 minutes is 95% of your FTP basically. So divide it by 0.95 and that will give you a new FTP, which was about, I think like maybe even 319, but I thought, well, let's not get carried away from a one-off result. Let's not go too far. But I bumped my other ones up because all the workouts are based off these statistics. So if something in the workout is to push your AC, your anaerobic capacity, it will use, for me, 540 watts. For somebody else, it might use 500 watts. Again, it's a kind of a proportion of your profile, I suppose. If we go to the calendar first, I suppose, you can see all the different workouts that you've done. So I had quite a big day last Thursday. Just kind of a warm-up ride. Thursday feels, actually no, this is going backwards, sorry. So I started off with the ready, steady, go, which is like an activator. Yeah, it even says there, sorry, activation. Then I did an endurance plan, thereabouts too, the one I told you about with the documentary. And then I did a recovery ride just at the end. Effectively, I was trying to get up to 40 miles. While I'm doing workouts in Sufferfest, I run Zwift simultaneously, so I'm still gaining my drops. And where I do 3 separate workouts there, I'd rather the sort of credit, I suppose, for doing one workout in one go, or the one ride in one go, in Strava. So I record with Zwift, and actually when Sufferfest syncs to Strava, I delete those workouts away, because when Zwift syncs to Strava, that will be the one ride that I keep. So you can run them both side by side, but you need 2 separate Ant Plus dongles on your PC. I didn't realize this. So Ant Plus is like a broadcast, whereas Bluetooth is a communication. Ant Plus is a broadcast, which means it can connect to loads of different things. But when your computer is using one receiver, it can't then share that information with different software. So if Sufferfest kind of locks up that receiver saying, yeah, I'm using this to receive all that Ant Plus broadcast, Zwift can't use it then. So you have to have a second one plugged in for Zwift to use. If we go back into last month, you can see some of the plans I was doing last month. It gives you a bit of a summary of what you've done each week, obviously. And we can see there is the 4DP test. And in fact, you can see the results and some of the analysis from doing that. And I think you can do that on pretty much any. So this was quite nasty as well, a very dark place. Some spikes and then just some pretty high, I think just above FTP with some spikes at the end of them. Oh, it was quite hard. See my heart rate getting pushed up high. And again, it shows you the profile that was used for that plan. Now, I don't know that I've done any workouts on my new profile just yet. No, so everything's still based off my old plan. And then I did the race Saturday morning, actually, with a friend, and it went really well, actually. I moved into Cat C, which kind of surprised me. And I came second out of like, I don't know, 25, 26. So I'm really pleased with that. I mean, it's still Cat C. There's still A and B doing faster than me. But so that's the calendar. So we go to the actual workouts. And at the minute, we've got all of them, all our cycling ones, all listed alphabetically. And actually, before we move into those, I'll just show you very quickly, I suppose. You can, when you're doing a training plan, you can include other things like mental training, which honestly I was thinking I'll probably give a go actually at some point. I've never really been much into all that kind of thing, but focus exercise, and you would just hit play and off we go. But I'm not gonna. Yeah, I don't know. It's there. Just so you know, it is there. We've also got yoga. Again, it's not something that I would generally do, but I do think that some. Yeah, I did read somewhere this was recommended hip openers one, so I downloaded it and I will at some point have a go. I've not tried those yet. Actually, maybe I should have before I did this review. Sorry. And then strength training. Again, it's just all kind of different. Oh wow, that's a lot of exercises included. Wow. So yeah, some people I'm sure will find that sort of thing useful. Gives you the equipment, the time. Right. And there's even some, what are these running? Oh, running and triathlon. So there's a few, I mean, literally just, what's that, 5 plans. So, as I say, I'm sorry, I've not tried a lot of that stuff, but it is there. And I think it does look like it'd be quite interesting, to be fair. But let's come back to the cycling. So what have we got as options here? You can narrow it down. So if you just want the GCN stuff, you can do that. If you just want Sufferfest videos, there's there. If you just want the things that have got no video, so maybe you do want to watch them on Netflix, okay, I don't want to have to be watching something else. What plan options have I got? So you can do that. We're going to go back to all cycling, but bear in mind you can have that selected when we come over to the right-hand side, which is kind of the filtering aspect. So what I really like, so I know that map is my weakness. So I come to map, and it shows me all the plans so I could go to them, there's nothing map at all. And when you look at the thing, well, this is nothing at all. And I don't want those, obviously, because I'm looking for specifically the high map plans. So you come to these ones, and if any one of these that I go to, so butter, it's got 5 blocks of map and 5, I guess it's kind of 5-star, is it? I don't know really what you do. It's just kind of, yeah. It's not about your 5 second or your 1 minute. It's all about your 5 minute or your 20 minutes. Actually, I might even I've got to do a workout today. I'm due a workout, and that looks. I do want sort of a good hour long workout. If I have got that downloaded, you can see it's green ticked. Oh, that does look. I mean, it looks. I find them fun. I don't know if I'm a bit weird. I look at a training plan like this and I think, that's going to be fun. I think that's going to be fun. I don't know. Maybe I am just a bit weird. So we're on the map, we're listed alphabetically, but you can list, for example, intensity factor. So then you could go right down to I haven't done that one. 9 hammers, I've got that downloaded. Look, I mean, that could be today, but that's a tough one. This is the one I did, Very Dark Place, and it was tough. It was very tough, I thought. I've got a revolver ready to go at some point. And then as you get near the top, it's the easier ones. So that's that. I mean, you can see that's easier, but the intensity factor shows it's easier. And what's the TSS do? The training stress something. So again, something like that look has got, the intensity isn't as high, but the training stress is high because it's a longer workout. So it's just generally, the TSS, you want to look to hit a certain value in a week, basically. I'm hitting between sort of 400 and 600 most weeks. So if I was to do this plan, I need to bear in mind that's going to be a good 109 of my 400 to 600. I think that's right. Then when I did the race a couple of days ago, I think the training stress was about 160 for a 45-minute race because it was the intensity. It's kind of intensity times duration, I suppose. I'm probably spending way too long explaining all this than I need to, but hopefully it's useful to you. So we can filter by the things. So we can filter by just the things I've downloaded. We open it up and these are all the ones I've downloaded. And then obviously you sort them within that by like last ridden if you wanted. So the ones down the bottom, I don't think I've never in the ones at the bottom. The ones at the top are when like more recently ridden, the nearer they are at the top. Duration, so it might be, I've only got 20 minutes, so sort them by duration of the ones you've downloaded, you've sort of highlighted. I don't know, it's quite fun just to kind of get things going in the morning. You probably, I think they could have done the filtering a bit better. It seems, in some ways, it seems limited. Like, why can't I set a filter of not just sort by duration, but say, I want something between 15 minutes and 25 minutes, and it only shows me those plans. And then I say, so I do like, you can go to just categories. So they've categorized things. So activation, like I said, that's kind of to start your day off or before a race or something like that. Well, that won't be before a race, but then you've got, endurance is more about you could just sort the FTP based ones. Drills, quite interesting. Things specifically for climbing, that's interesting. Recovery is definitely one you might want to use. So some days you used to have a recovery day. Other times you would literally do one of these after a training plan. So categories is quite a useful way of looking at things. Then we get over onto the training plans. And again, we've got quite a selection of all different things. So road racing, all-purpose road, esports racing, that's quite interesting if you wanted to compete in like Zwift races and stuff. And when you select one, so you select your level, so if you wanted to do just sprint races, crits, then there's an option to do that. So that's the one I did the other day, you could select that. And then you can add in the strength training. You'll see it throw strength training into that, and it just adjusts the plan around for you. Then you can add in, well, let's have the mental training included. It throws those in. If you wanted, let's throw some beginner yoga, and let's throw in some intermediate strength training, and it throws it all in and puts it all together in your training plan for you, which I do think is really pretty cool in a lot of ways. There are some, so if I come back to all-purpose road perhaps, so here we go, indoor and outdoor, for example. And again, you can still put in things like strength training, let's go intermediate, indoor and outdoor, include the mental training, no yoga. So it will give you actual normal workouts. And then usually at the weekend, so we can see here Saturday and Sunday, it's giving you 2 outdoor rides. And it will still try and tell you how to do it, which I'm not sure how that would work out for me. So 25 minutes warm up. And it's basically saying stay around 55% of your FTP. So for me, that would be 160 watts and keep my heart rate below 75. But when I leave my house, I have to cycle up a hill, like 8 degrees, 9 degrees for almost a minute. My heart rate is going to fly right up. My watts are going to be 500. There's not a great deal I can do about that. I think this is great if you live in a fairly flat area and you've got more control over your watts, then fine. But I don't really have that. I think maybe what I would do, maybe I'd even get like an armband, and I'd write sort of a rough idea. So warm up 25 minutes, it would say, and I would just keep my FTP low. Then it says number of sets 1, rest between sets none, interval repeats per set 5. So it basically says do this thing these intervals 5 times. Effort for 2 minutes, 90% of your FTP. That's kind of all you need to know in some ways. Recovery for 5 minutes, 50% of your FTP. And then do that 5 times is kind of what it's saying. So I could have that on an armband saying 2 minutes full on, 5 minutes ease up. You could do that fairly easily outside. And then you've got extra volume if you wanted another 35 minutes of kind of 60%, and then cool down 10 minutes. So I really like that you can do a workout that includes outdoor riding, because in the summer you don't want to have a workout that's got 5 days a week of you sitting on your indoor bike when the sun's shining outside. What I would like, so they specifically say, we've set outdoor rides to be at the weekend, but I work like almost every other weekend, so it's not great. What I would love is if I could click and drag some of these around and it tried to keep a similar structure within the week, but I could just maybe move some things around, or I don't know. What I've ended up doing is I've made my own Google Calendar, which I just plot my workouts on myself. So I can plot in, right, that's my day off, weather looks good, I will be out doing like a fairly steady but long endurance ride. So it's kind of a recovery, but at the same time, long and endurance based. The next day I'm working a late shift, so in the morning I can do a high intensity map session. I'm on an early the next day, I'm going to do a Zwift race in the evening, and I'll mark these on the kind of plan my way. Right, I probably need a day off at this point, or just a slow recovery ride, because I've done 3 high intensity sessions on a trot. So I kind of do it myself, but I do like the structure. I'm sure some people will love the structure that it gives you. And if you've got so if you just work on Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, this is probably kind of ideal in a lot of ways. And in some ways, I'm a little jealous that I can't do that because I'd love to have the structure that it gives to you. I think, so this is the passport. So here it's kind of confirming I'm an attacker. When it comes to short maximal efforts, you seem to have an endless supply of matches. And it tells you this was based off the test that I did. There is another test. You can do like a kind of regular ramp test, which just does FTP. And I think it does map. So I will probably try that again. Because my NM and my AC, as you can see, are strong. I don't really need to remeasure them. I'm not really too bothered if they improve or not. But FTP and map are the ones that you can test in a ramp test, apparently. And so maybe I'll give it another week and then I'm going to do that test to see what improvements I've made according to that test, I suppose. And as we scroll down, this is the bit I was telling you about. So it tells me, oh, it's changed actually. It now says VO. Oh, no, that's right. Sorry, map is VO2, sorry. Yeah, I almost thought it changed to something different. So yeah, VO2 is where I'm weaker. So there's a lot of very dark places. Got right at the top. 9 hammers. Oh, you're mean to me. Joyride. 14 vice. So I've only done a very dark place. That's the only one I've actually done. I do need to do, and maybe I'll do 9 hammers today. Or vice grips. Oh dear. Yeah, maybe vice grips. I don't know them. Ooh, we'll see. We'll see. So I've done the 14 vices. Brutal. So that's the passport, and then I think I have shown you. Oh, actually, so activities just shows all the activities I have done. And again, you can look at the kind of the breakdown and things for those. Awards, I've not really been looking at these, to be honest, but there are, for those that like to badge hunt, you do get awards for different things. Oh, it doesn't explain. I thought I might click one and it would explain. Records, quite interesting. Actually, honestly, I've not really looked through the records, but I don't think I realised this was it. Manage subscription, workout settings, application, all these sort of things. There's various different shortcuts you can use. So yeah, I should mention that actually. Shortcuts quite handy. So as you are doing a workout or a training plan, using the up and down arrows, you can adjust the intensity. So it might be you're thinking, actually, this is a little bit easy. I want to make it a bit harder. That's fine. You can bump it up to 105%, 110%, whatever, and it will make things harder. Do check in the settings. There's one point where you can turn off this affecting the recovery periods of your workout, which kind of makes sense. So if you've got 5 intense intervals, you want to increase those a bit, but the recovery, you still need it to be nice and low. That's the whole point of the recovery. So it's quite a clever option, I suppose. You can turn erg mode on and off, because there are some sessions where you've got to sprint to a maximal high, really high wattage, where it says you might want to turn erg mode off because the trainer can be a bit slower in reacting. So if you've only got a 10-second sprint and the trainer might take 5 seconds to get your power up there. And actually that is one of the things I noticed. It will lag. It will lag. So when it's trying to bump up to, I don't know, 500 watts, 400 watts, 600 watts, sometimes it just doesn't seem to move. So you're pedaling away for 5 or 6 seconds thinking, when's this going to happen then? And it doesn't. And then finally it will come in. And if you're only on a very short sprint, that's kind of pointless. It doesn't. I was going to say it does it a little bit at the end of the session. So when it gets to the end of and you've got to drop power for maybe a second or two, you might still be doing higher power, but not often a lot the same as what it would take to ramp up. I don't know if that's a software issue. I don't think it particularly happens in Zwift, so I think it's a software issue. And this is me running it from my PC, so I don't really know what that would be. You've got a pause there as well, spacebar. You can have an auto pause set up though, that it would just, you stop pedaling and give it a couple of seconds, it will hold your workout. So if the doorbell rings, you can just jump off, go onto the doorbell, come back, get on your bike and carry on your workout. So there we go. That's kind of a way longer video than I'd meant to, but I think it's been really thorough. I think there's everything in there that you would need to know. I suppose the subscription factor, it is, I forget actually how much it is, 'cause I've not had to pay. Yeah, there we go, $14.99 a month. As I think I said, I got 2 months free with my Kickr, so that's why I'm not going to have to pay still for another couple of months, because I think you can have 2 weeks free anyway. In fact, I can give everybody a free month. If you wanted to try for a month, I'll have to explain how in the video description, because I can't remember exactly what it is. I think it's just a link that you can use and you would get a free month. That's anyone that's subscribing can do that to any of their friends, I think. So there you go. I think I covered everything, I think. I mean, I must have. How long has this video been now? So I must have covered everything. If you do have any questions, drop them in the comments down below. I'll try and answer them. I'm not a trainer. I don't, if you're asking, how should I train my AC or something? I don't know. That's what this software's for. But yeah, if any questions about this or the Kickr, I suppose, in some way, do drop them in the comments down below. Check out my other videos. I've done quite a few videos now on cycling, so do check those out. And obviously, if you haven't already subscribed, then please do give us a thumbs up on this video, because it helps the metrics and it helps it get seen more, if anyone can sit through this long. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed it. For now, my name's Andy. I'll catch you all again soon.